Hey everybody, welcome to Crack-A-Pack Tuesday on the Mana Leek, except today's not going to be Crack-A-Pack Tuesday, it's going to be Crack-A-Draft Tuesday. Longtime viewers might know that I always used to do a live draft recap of my first F&M draft, with sets coming out earlier on Magic Online and me having several draft videos up before F&M even rolls around. I thought I'd move these to Crack-A-Pack Tuesday instead, and give you a live draft recap. Now, this draft, of course, took place at the Gamers Emporium in London, Ontario, at Oxford and Wonderland. If you are in the area, definitely come check it out. It's a fantastic place. I play there, and it's just a really great community. Pack 1 had a Deadeye Explorer as the rare, which wasn't terribly great, and honestly, this was just a weak pack kind of overall. Siren Lookout gets pushed to the front as maybe the best card in the pack. There is also a Vineshaper Mystic, which is pretty decent, and I take the Vineshaper Mystic. I figure maybe I'll give Blue-Green Merfolk a try or something. Siren Lookout might have been slightly better, but the pack was pretty weak. Pack 2, we've got a Sheltering Light, a Seeker Squire gets pushed to the front. Deeproot Champion gets pushed to the front, even though I just don't really think it's good. And then, hey, there's a Territorial Hammerskull, which is a card that really probably should have been uncommon, and there's no way I'm ever passing one of those. Pack 1, pick 3 is here, and Revelin Riches is on top, and I want to first pick it someday, but I've got to first pick it. Otherwise, this pack has a Scarmarch Bloodletter that I saw in there, a Sky Terror gets pushed to the front, because, hey, maybe Red-White Dinosaurs is where I want to be for the billionth time. The rest of the pack, really, there isn't much good here. There's Skymarch Bloodletter, and there is Sky Terror. And this is kind of how Ixalan drafts go. The packs do lessen in power pretty quickly, but I like that because everybody has a bit lower power. I do take the Sky Terror there, figuring Red-White Dinosaurs might be where I head up. This pack's got a Run-aground that I push to the front along with a Bishop's Soldier. Bishop's Soldier keeps me on colors, but Otepec Huntmaster is definitely what I want if I'm going to be Red-White Dinos, so in it goes. Next pack is here, and there's a Pounce somehow still in this pack, as well as a Tempest Caller and a Call to the Feast. 3 very powerful cards that probably shouldn't be here unless this pack was absolutely stacked. But at this point, I really have to kind of think about what I want to do. I had planned Red-White Dinos. I just took a Red-White Gold card, but can I pass up Pounce? Can I pass up Tempest Caller? A very hard choice here, but I take the Pounce and I figure, all right, let's cement ourselves down another path. Maybe we just end up Naya Dinos. Who knows? The next pack is here. Hopefully it can guide me in some way. There's an Aztecan Archer, a Blossom Dryad, a Pterodon Knight. Well, I just took Pounce, and green appears to be open. Getting a Blossom Dryad, getting an Archer, getting a Pounce that late. So at this point, I'm starting to think, well, maybe green-white dinos is the way to go with that Territorial Hammerskull. It's really between the Archer and the Dryad here, I think. I haven't had huge success with the Archer, but I understand that it should be pretty powerful, so I decided to give it a go since it was one of my first drafts. Next pack, we've got ourselves another Skymarch Bloodletter. Black is looking slightly open here, and there's really not much else in this pack. We've got a Vampire Zeal if I really want to just kind of stake my claim, cut white out of this pack for good, and just say, you know, get out of my lane, guys. Skymarch Bloodletter is probably the correct pick, but I haven't taken any black yet, so it's kind of a tough pick. Do I want to send signals? Are people even going to read my signals? Who knows? But, you know, it's kind of tough picking a Vampire Zeal this early and over a real card like a Bloodletter, but I decided to stay in my lane. Next pack comes along, and we've got ourselves not much except for another Archer, which is just giving me huge signs that green must be wide open at the table. Spoiler alert, it wasn't for some reason. But yeah, I figure this Archer's fine. There's some good blue in here. Well, not good. There's some fine blue in here, but I've really kind of left the blue train, so I do take the second Archer. Next pack shows up, and I believe this is my first pack. There's an Ixalan's Keeper and a Shining Aerosaur, which are really the 2 picks for me at this point. I said, okay, you know what? I'm going green-white dinos. Red's not coming to me, so we need to just ignore that plan. So it's really between the Aerosaur or the Keeper, and I think Aerosaur is just solid, so I take it. Getting near the dregs of the pack, we've got a Legion's Judgment, which is totally fine. There's a Hierophant's Chalice as well, if I was going to get a little bit rampy, but I haven't got the big dinosaurs yet, so I just take a Legion's Judgment. I'm fine with the first one in the main deck usually. I'd never play more than one, though. The rest should always sit in your sideboard. Up next, we've got a Sky March of the Skyblade of the Legion, Skittering Heartstopper. I mean, Skyblade's the only thing going towards what I'm doing in white-green, so I take it. The other cards just weren't going to make this deck. Last 3 picks. Do we get anything? We get an Encampment Keeper, which I am just not going to play, so let's take an uncommon, because why not? Second last pick, we technically have a choice, but they're both garbage, so I take the Ritual of Rejuvenation for no real reason. Both of those cards were absolutely never seeing my main deck ever in this format. Ever. And my final pick was an Ancient Brontodon. Womp, womp. I guess it's in my colors, so we got that going for us. So end of pack 1, things were feeling kind of weak, but at least we had sort of a direction to green-white dinosaurs, so we could try to get going from there. This pack had a Deathgorge Scavenger, which, well, that's a solid card. It's not a bomb by any means, but it's just straight up solid. The rest of the pack didn't have much for me in green-white. There was a Colossal Dreadmaw, Vampire Zeal, all stuff that I'd be fine coming back around, but let's take this Deathgorge Scavenger. Pack 2, pick 2. We've got ourselves a Pterodon Knight. I'd probably play that. Is there anything better? There's a Deeproot Warrior, which is fine. Crushing Canopy. Pious Interdiction is definitely better, as is Adanto Vanguard. Vanquisher's Banner could be good if I get a giant amount of dinosaurs, but I'm kind of lacking on that. Also lacking on removal, so I think the Pious Interdiction was the easy pick there. Next pack, Territorial Hammerskull on top. That's going to be the snap pick here. There is a Burning Sun's Avatar that got passed over a couple of other people. Unfortunately, I'm not red anymore. I'm definitely not triple red, so I've got to pass the Burning Sun's Avatar further down the table. Next pack, we've got a Ceratops, a Lightning Strike, a Slash of Talons, and a Blossom Dryad. Just not too much going on here. I'd love to take that Lightning Strike. Red is suddenly, out of basically nowhere, feeling a little bit open, but I have just taken nothing to head red. So I felt like it was a bit too late to change. I probably shouldn't have, but or I should have, but I took the Blossom Dryad instead. Pack 2, pick 4, Verdant Rebirth on top, which is a fine card. We've got to Crash the Ramparts, Ritual of Rejuvenation, and that's really about it. Kind of a weak pack. I take the Verdant Rebirth. I've had some decent experience with it, and I wouldn't mind playing with it again. Up next, we've got a Sunrise Seeker, I guess, and there's a Fire Cannon Blast. Red definitely open on my left, probably not opened on my right based on what I was seeing in pack 1. At this point, I could have had some serious red stuff. I just take the red because I'm not playing that Sunrise Seeker, and there was just nothing else in the pack for me, so I take the Fire Cannon Blast. Up next, hoping to get something green-white to keep me in this draft. Yep, we got something. We got Emissary of the Sunrise. Just a fantastic creature there. Pretty happy to see it that late, so easy include. Next pack, we've got Sunrise Seeker, New Horizons. New Horizons has been great for me. I take it. Maybe I end up splashing for some red stuff. Who knows? Last few picks of pack 2, we've got a Demystify and a Vampire Zeal to choose from. There's a Stormfleet Arsonist still here. Red is seemingly ridiculously open. I take the Demystify for the sideboard. Last few picks, we've got ourselves a Rummaging Goblin. Pterodon Knight came back around. That goes into my deck, goes into my plan, so I take it. Also, really late Call to the Feast sitting there. Fourth last pick, what can we see? We can see nothing, unfortunately. We've got a Hierophant's Chalice as the only card that I might maybe play, so in you go, I guess. Last 3 picks, we've got another sideboard Demystify or a Spike-tailed Ceratops that I might actually play, since the draft is not going terribly great so far, so I do take it. Second Ritual of Rejuvenation going in as the second last pick. And then our final pick, what do we get? What do we get? It's a Sunrise Seeker, which I also might have to play, as much as I don't terribly want to. So at the end of pack 2, this draft is going real strange. I'm green-white, I guess, definitely feeling very underpowered, and things are just seeming really strange. It was most players' very first Ixalan draft. It was a couple of players' very first draft, and they were very vocal about hate drafting quite early on. Which hopefully they grow out of. This pack had a Repeating Barrage as its rare, which, again, unfortunately I couldn't play, and this is where I got confused. There were just not many cards for me in this pack. There was a Slash of Talons, an Ixali's Keeper, and a Kumena's Speaker, which I'm not touching. This pack was almost dead for my deck, and it was a fresh pack. So it turns out the color distribution weirdness can actually occur in packs. So I take the Slash of Talons, and it feels like the absolute worst pack 3 pick 1 ever. Pack 3 pick 2, can it get any better? What do we got for green-white? We got a Looming Altasaur, Okay, a Jade Guardian. All right, a River Herald's Boon. Not really what I'm going to be doing in my deck. I think I have one Merfolk so far. So I guess we take the Jade Guardian as, again, the only playable card in the entire pack for me. Not a great way to end this draft. Pack 3, pick 3. Give me something good in green and white. What do we got in green and white? Oh, we have nothing. Literal, stone, nothing. In pack 3, pick 3. I should point out the person to my right was playing blue-red. The person to his right was playing green-red. No one was playing white, and there were 0 white cards in this pack. Either the hate drafting was way too out of hand in this draft pod, which I definitely think was a consideration, or the color distribution is definitely wonky. So I take the land that I guess maybe I have to play, because at this point I'm thinking I might have to go Naya. This pack doesn't have much. It's got a Pillar of Origins, which if I have enough dinosaurs, maybe I could play. So I do a quick count of the dinosaurs in here. But it's really between that Pillar, or there was another card in there that I was considering. Let's take another look at that pack, shall we? It's between the Pillar or the Grazing Whiptail. The Grazing Whiptail is fine. I'm definitely green-white. The question is really, am I pushing into red? I take the Pillar. I figure I have just enough dinosaurs. It'll give me some ramp. Maybe I have to play the Ancient Brontodons. Who knows? This pack has a Skyblade of the Legion, which gets pushed to the front, but immediately replaced by a Colossal Dreadmaw, which is, again, really the only pick for me in this pack. Pack 3 is not going great. I'm having 1 or 0 legitimate picks, unfortunately. We're getting close to packs wheeling. Let's hope that finds something. We've got an Ancient Brontodon or a Looming Altasaur, and that is it for me. I'm feeling incredibly cut here. And the only other player playing green-white was across the table from me, several seats away. So I don't even know what happened with these packs. I don't know if the packs were weird, or as I said, maybe the hate drafting was getting way too out of hand or something. But yeah, I had next to no choices here. It was between Prying Blade, the Altasaur, or the other thing. So I take the Altasaur, because maybe I just have to play it. I think we've got like 2 packs before my first pack wheels. This one has Slash of Talons or a spike-tailed Ceratops in it. I take the Thrasheraptors. At this point, I make the incredibly late decision to say, all right, I'm not going to have enough playables in green-white. We need to go Naya. All right, what do you got for me, pack? You got a Raptor Companion. That is totally fine. There's a Jungle Delver that I'm not going to play there, but Raptor Companion is right up my alley. Up next, we've got Ixalan's Keeper. This was the wheel pack, I believe, so Ixalan's Keeper's playable, so that's okay. Up next, we get ourselves a Ritual of Rejuvenation as the only pickable card. So in goes the 3rd copy of that. Up next, we've got an Elaborate Fire Cannon, which I'm not going to play either, but in the pile, and what a pile it is. Last 3 picks, we've got ourselves a Mark of the Vampire, a Demolish, or a Duress. I take Demolish because maybe it will go in my sideboard if I am indeed going to play Naya. Second last pick, we get a Demystify over a Gilded Sentinel. I take the Gilded Sentinel after almost taking the Demystify and then remembering that I already had one for the sideboard, so I may as well take the Garbage Creature just in case I had to actually play it. Our final pick should be coming here in a second. There it is. What is it? I don't even look at it. Oh wait, it's a Brontodon. So needless to say, the draft did not go great. I'm going to show you the deck in just a second, but up first, we have to have a little chat about hate drafting, or counter drafting as it might be called. This is not a legitimate strategy in pack 2 pick 1 or in pack 3 pick 1. This is a legitimate thing that you should do when you look at a pack and there is basically stone nothing for your deck. There is nothing that you would ever consider playing, or there is only a sideboard card and you already have a copy of it. Then sure, take the best card in a different color. But even before that, you should probably look at a card that you can maybe splash and then take that. Hate drafting is not something you do when you open pack 3. You open pack 3 and you say, oh, I don't like playing against this rare. I'm going to take it so that nobody else can have it. It's a very, very, very bad thing for basically everybody on your side of the table. Not only are you hurting the person's deck to the left of you, or 2 to the left of you, who you are intentionally taking the card from, it's hurting your draft. It's hurting your deck because you're not taking a legitimate card from that pack either. And so what happens is you end up with a worse deck. The people beside you end up with worse decks, and it affects nobody on the other half of the table who, if they're drafting properly, end up with a pretty decent deck. Furthermore, the odds of it affecting you are so minute. The card that you really don't want to have to play against, you have to pass, and somebody who has to take it and play it. That's step one. That person who takes it and plays it has to be paired up against you. Assuming random chance, which it's not because of course pairings are based on standings after round one, you have less than 50% chance of ever playing against that person. That person then has to draw the card. You don't draw every card in your deck in a game of Magic. You often don't even draw half of the cards. So there's another kind of 50-50 chance that you're even going to see the card. Then they have to actually be able to play the card and successfully play it, and you not have an answer to it. That is several steps, most of which are less than 50% chance to ever happen, which means the overall chance of you going up against this card that you hated out in Pack 2 Pick 1 or Pack 3 Pick 1 are absolutely minute. You hurt your draft, you hurt other people's draft, and you just make it a much worse experience. So do not hate or counter draft. It's just absolutely a terrible thing to do, and you will not become a better drafter if you do it. Anyways, with that public service announcement out of the way, let's take a look at the deck that I ended up building. So here's the deck that I played after game one of match one. Game one of match one, I actually played a little bit of a Naya deck I had in the Thrasher Raptors as well as the Pillar of Origins, and it was fine. I didn't actually have any mana issues, but it just felt a little less consistent, so I figured two colors might be a little bit better. And if we take a look at each of these drop slots in order, up first, we have Slash of Talons and Vampire Zeal in the 1-drop slot. Slash of Talons is not a good combat trick. I would prefer to never main deck this if possible. I don't think I ever successfully killed anything with it. And Vampire Zeal, which I think the first one is always generally fine, especially if you're a little bit aggressive. The 2-drop slot had the creatures with Skyblade of the Legion, not that great in a dinosaur deck, but I needed a 2-drop, Raptor Companion, which I quite enjoy, and Ixalan's Keeper, which is just fine and playable. Verdant Rebirth is definitely really good, and I'd probably play at the first copy that I would have, and I would pick it pretty highly still. I think it is really good. And Pounce, of course, is just a first pickable fantastic fight spell. The 3-drop slot is really where the majority of my deck was. Emissary of the Sunrise is fantastic. Territorial Hammerskull, we all know, is amazing. Blossom Dryad is fine. Deathgord Scavenger, for some reason I thought it got counters. It is not Scavenging Ooze. It's similar, but it's not nearly as good. Still a fine card, but not the bomb that I was thinking it was when I did play it the one time that I saw it. The Archer, again, it didn't really do anything for me. I'm still not sold on that card actually being that great. Vineshaper Mystic's fine, better of course in a Merfolk deck. New Horizons I really like. I'd play it in every single green deck I can, even if I'm not splashing for anything. That counter is just really good. And Legion's Judgment we already talked about. I'll always play the first one main deck, but never ever the second or third one. Those can come in from the sideboard. 4-drop slot had a Pterodon Knight for my dinosaurs to go into the skies, Jade Guardian just to be an annoying hexproof creature, maybe it could get a counter off of the Merfolk, the other Merfolk, the Vineshaper Mystic if I was lucky, and Pious Interdiction, which of course is just a great piece of removal. 5-drop slot had Shining Aerosaur, which is solid, Spike-tailed Ceratops, which I would generally prefer not to play. It's fine as like a 23rd creature if you have to, and Sunrise Seeker, ditto. And finally in the 6-drop slot, Colossal Dreadmaw, which a 6/6 trample is tough to deal with for 6 mana. I quite enjoy Colossal Dreadmaw. And so that's how the deck shaped up, and it did not do very well. Match 1, I was up against the other green-white dinosaurs player, and her deck was definitely a little bit better sitting on the exact opposite side of the table from me. She had different people passing to her for sure. She had Territorial Hammerskull as well, I believe, and just a couple of better dinosaurs. Match 2, I was up against the green-red dinosaur, sitting a couple of tables down, or a couple of spots down from me on the right. They had Thundering Spineback and other good dinosaurs as well, and utterly stomped me. And they had Shaper's Sanctuary, which I think is an unplayable bad card that you should never, ever main deck. It is amazing against Territorial Hammerskull, however, as that ability is not even a May ability. You can't attack with Territorial Hammerskull unless you want them to be drawing cards. In that exact scenario, sure, I might sideboard in Shaper's Sanctuary. Otherwise, I don't think you should ever be main decking that card. But it destroyed me in one game. Finally, match 3, I was up against green-blue Merfolk, trying to go deep on Deep Root Waters, then didn't quite get there, and I managed to pull out a single win to go 1-2 for the night. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know how your paper drafts have been going, how your Ixalan online drafts have been going, etc. And let me know what you think about hate drafting. Do you hate draft really early into packs? Stop it if you do. It's not a great strategy. As I said, hate drafting is a legitimate thing to do when there are no splashable cards for you in the pack and there are no playable cards in the pack for you. Sure, absolutely, take the best card, but do not draft as one of your first picks in a pack. Let me know what you think about that, though. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at @themanaleek. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at facebook.com/themanaleek, twitch.tv/themanaleek, and patreon.com/themanaleek. If you like the content, click that thumbs up button. If you haven't already and you want to see more, click subscribe. And if you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see you all next time.